It's going to be a great conversation. Please welcome Bob Ramsey and Kathy Reichs.
Right now, I'm writing the Temperance Brennan series. I'm also writing a young adult series with my son, and I'm co-writing screenplays for the show with my daughter. So maybe the next big break, well, I'll write something with my grandchildren. I don't, I don't know. It's hard to imagine. I'm under contract for 2 more for 19 Temperance Brennan books. Right. So I'm not sure what'll happen after that. Right. Gruesome cases I see all the time. Yep. It's the cases in which the victims are truly innocent. Right. It is the child homicide cases. It is the battered women cases, where you have victims that in no way brought the violence upon themselves. Those are the ones that are the hardest to deal with.
Tell us what you can, if you can, about your next book, which I gather is coming out next year. Is that right?
It is, assuming I write it. My publicist is out there. I'm well along in the, it's almost done. Oh, gosh, how do I succinctly summarize it? It's going to take place in the Carolina Mountains. We have a lot of very interesting folks up in the hollers. Has anyone seen Deliverance? Okay, that's the Carolina Mountains. I touched on it a little bit in one of my previous books. Remember Eric Rudolph? It turned out he had blown up a number of abortion clinics. He's the guy that bombed the Atlanta Olympics. He managed to hide out up there for 5 years with $1 million reward on his head. So it's pretty rugged up there in a lot of places. So the book will take place up there. It's going to touch on demonic possession versus dissociative personality disorder. It's going to look at exorcisms. It's going to look at a phenomenon up there. There's a mountain called Brown Mountain, and for hundreds of years, actually going back into Cherokee legends, there are these lights that appear on the mountains. That's real, but nobody can explain them. So it's going to delve into this, this mystery and some other stuff. Great. When did storytelling come into my life? You know, I always said, when I was in university, I preferred science classes. I wanted to be in physiology, zoology, biology. And I always said in interviews I didn't have any interest in creative writing. And maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I discovered these 2 handwritten books that I had done when I was 9 years old. Oh my God. One was called The Mystery in the Old House. Really original. The other one was a romance. Longhand, illustrated. So apparently when I was, yeah. So with those little colored pencils, you know. So apparently I was interested in writing when I was a little kid, and then I forgot about that. And just got so fascinated with the science that I totally moved into that arena. You have to become socially emotionally detached from every case. If you become involved in every, you're not going to be very good to that victim. So you have to learn to become objective and to distance yourself and to do your job. When I was in Guatemala, we were digging a mass grave down there. There were 23 women and children in this grave. And I was with a man named Clyde Snow, who's really the founder of forensic anthropology within the realm of human rights. And someone asked Clyde that question. He said, you know, if you need to cry, you do it at home at night. You don't do it while you're working. And I think that's the ability you have to be able to develop.
Turn it into a story?
Yeah, I really work to keep the science accurate. What I do is out of a case, I will take a nugget. I will take that core idea. The first book, Deja Dead, is about a serial murderer who dismembers the victims. And that was an actual case in Montreal that I worked on. It's a man named Serge Archambault. He's now in jail. But the case I worked on is a woman he had murdered and dismembered. And what was key in there was, normally if I'm asked to look at a dismemberment case, it's to figure out what kind of tool was used, a saw, a knife, what kind of saw. In this case, it was the patterning of the dismemberment that was critical. So I took that one key element of it and then changed everything else.
What does patterning of dismemberment mean?
The patterning of... Why do you ask? What is patterning? Most people, when they dismember a body, they do it to make it more packageable, you know, to be able to... You Canadians love hockey bags, you know, to be able to stuff it in a... or to minimize identification. Yeah. Remove the head, remove the hands. You've got no dental, you've got no fingerprints. So you just lob off, well, not you, but the perpetrator just does it whatever takes the least amount of energy expenditure. Well, in this case, I could see that the person had gone directly into the joints and showed a lot of anatomical knowledge. And this is all in court records. I never use anything that isn't either out in the news or in court records, so it's public knowledge. So I could tell police it was someone that knew anatomy. It was somebody that was very skilled at this, and as it turned out, the perpetrator, when he was a butcher. So, yeah, so I just took that core idea and changed names and dates and places and everything for both legal and ethical reasons. And so that's what I do in each case. I'll take some concept. In Bones Never... No, that's that one. In Bones, in Bones of the Lost, it was based on a case in which the key element was bullet trajectory. The victim had died of a gunshot wound to the chest. The family insisted he'd been shot in the back. So it was a question of, and years went by and then we did an exhumation, had the bullet entered the front and exited the back, or entered the back and exited the front? Well, by looking at the fracture patterning, it was clear. We could resolve how that took place. So I used that core idea in the book on Afghanistan, Bones of the Lost.
Thank you, everybody.